Go, 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 go.
Oh yeah, that's the catch.
Yeah, that's the catch, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's the, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So Andy, during the time it's taking for me to say these words to you, there's probably been like 20 more brands launched out of China.
Here's hoping. Here's
Yeah.
hoping. Competition is good.
I agree. I think it's a good thing. And if they're anything like this Zeekr 7X, then I'm all for it, because
Here you
this
go.
thing really has blown me away.
Okay, in what way?
I'm not telling you. Go watch a video.
We're not here to share information.
Go and watch a credible source of automotive content, Andy. It seems like this brand has come out of nowhere, and in a lot of ways it has. It is a new brand, but it is owned by the Geely Group,
Yes.
who also bought Volvo.
Lotus.
That's right. And that sophistication, that know-how, and that technology has filtered through into this brand. And so it's not like you're buying into a brand that's completely
Emergent.
from scratch.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
you're kind of buying into some establishment.
Yes, and probably throughout the video we'll see that there are some established design choices from the rest of those brands that have filtered their way through.
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely. So on paper, this thing checks so many boxes. And so where it's left me is like, unless you need this to be a getaway car, what's the catch? So in terms of styling, I think it's a generally good-looking car.
Yep.
I'd say it's one of the more European-looking of the Chinese EVs, and again, it's probably because of the fact that it's designed and headquartered in Sweden. I think on the whole, the design lands, and what I do appreciate about it, which I don't know if you feel the same, but this sort of RoboCop visor at the front, it's...
Please, creep.
Except it's a bit more sophisticated than that, more like a sort of robotic police officer rather than RoboCop, you know? I mean, I think it's a distinguishing feature. I mean, it doesn't need to be there.
Is it the piano black that does it? It's that.
Yeah, it's the
there.
fact that it's obviously a different color to the car.
Yeah.
However, it actually serves a purpose. So in China, they
Okay.
call it, I believe they call it a Stargate system, where you can adjust from the inside of the car all sorts of lights on this black strip.
Ah.
But over here, due to, I believe, safety regulations, we're not allowed any of that.
Oh, no
So
messages.
yeah, so New Zealand regulatory bodies were just like, no, you just turn that off.
Yeah,
Don't-
less
What's
communication
that?
is better.
Light? Nah, we don't want lights on it. I mean, you were saying that you're not a huge fan of the visor, and so
It's kind of just like, nothing. I don't know
how's
why.
it nothing?
I know.
It's clearly
I
a something.
yeah, I don't know.
It's not nothing.
I don't know. I can't explain it to you, Rory. I can't.
That's
Yeah,
well,
I
hey,
got
that's
nothing.
why people watch us, mate. What I will say though, carrying on from this visor, is that obviously a very distinctive feature of this is that it carries on along the side,
Yes.
and then it has these little bits. And at first I was like, what is that? And then I was looking at it more. I was like, well, hold on. If this visor at the front is like a mouth, the headlights are like the eyes, then maybe these are like ears. Maybe they're going for this sort of human-centric design. And so I was convinced this was the case. So I went online and I looked up who designed this car, and there was the lead senior designer.
Yeah.
And so I looked up his name plus ears on Google, convinced I was going to find some article about human-centric design. I just got a picture of him and his ears, and I was like, okay, so that's not what that is. But what he does say, I did find a little clip from him talking about these tech zones, where they
Okay.
cluster together sensors and cameras. Now, coming around the side, I think we better talk about the doors. And it's actually interesting because they are quite jarring. Like when you first get to the car, you go like this, oh, how do you
Yeah,
open
yeah.
it? They have to tell you, press the button, right? So you're like, okay, cool, press the button. And then obviously if you're standing in front of it, it's not gonna open, so that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So then you get out the way and it will do its thing.
There
So
you
that's
go.
pretty good. But you'll find yourself getting tripped up by it quite often.
Yeah.
But then when it does work well, you're like, this is so great. Like, and then when I got back in our regular family car after being in this all weekend, I was like, oh, what? I have to open and
The
shut the doors
doors.
all by myself? What do you take me for? I actually don't think it's a love it or hate it. I think it's a love it and hate it kind of job. Where
Oh.
You'll have moments of both.
How good are the sensors on it? Like if you have
Oh,
a
they're
child
good.
like climbing up and they accidentally push
Yep.
a button.
No,
and-
the sensors haven't set a foot wrong. They always detect another car next to you. They always detect if you're standing in front.
Or a
And
person.
as you imagine, they veer on the safe side.
Yeah,
so
cool.
they'll often stop where you think there's actually nothing in the way
Yeah,
to be
cool.
safe. So I'd rather that.
Yeah, while we're on the doors, you were calling this out before, the open angle is crazy on the back door here in particular.
And if you've got
Wow.
kids, that's really handy.
That is
Yeah.
really handy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Handy Andy, don't they call you that?
Hey, that's what they called me at school sometimes,
Why?
amongst other names.
Oh.
And I think that the back of it looks really, really great, actually.
I think so too. I've heard other people critiquing the back saying it's their least favorite angle.
Funny.
It's actually probably my favorite angle
Yeah,
of the car.
yeah.
And in many ways, it's the most generic angle in the terms of many other, especially Chinese EVs, have this look where it's a sort of minimalistic back end with a thin light bar.
Yeah.
But Zeekr's particular implementation of it, I think, works really well.
I do like that they have their Zeekr badging, if you could call it, or logo, up on the glass here. It's a little bit more subtle.
Yep.
And to me, that's cool. That's understated. It's
Yes.
not saying, oh, this is the type of car I am.
Yeah, and I actually think that's evident throughout the entire car. It's not shouty, it's not over the top, it's not garish, it's not over styled. It's just a nice balance of sort of subtle European luxury and sort of all the technology from China that we've seen that was also impressive. It's a good mix.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So a real mesh of east and west there, which is really cool.
What I will say though, with this overhang on the rear spoiler, is that from the inside, the view out the back window is actually quite narrow.
Yes.
And it's almost like as bad as you'd get in one of those coupified kind of cars like the Mercedes GLC. In terms of styling, I don't see any particular catch. So far, so good.
Yeah.
They've done a nice balance of, I guess, that traditional EV look where there's it's a minimalist design, big screen in the middle, not too much to draw your attention elsewhere, but still really, really nice, high quality materials everywhere else.
Very high quality, and you give it a shake.
Everything
it does
is
nothing
soft.
moves, and it's beautiful, and it's very luxuriant.
It is,
feels
eh?
like that. It feels really nicely nested and nestled. It feels like you're like in a very safe, calm,
It's cozy,
relaxing space.
Yeah.
This is the right height for me. I don't know. I'm just shy of 6 feet, so this is.
No, sorry, carry on. I'm 6 foot, but no worries. It's inviting. It's such an inviting interior.
Comfortable.
Yeah, it makes you want to take a long road trip, doesn't it?
And it's got the massaging and the heated seats or ventilated seats.
Heated and
depending on-
ventilated, yeah.
And so if you just want maybe half an hour to get away from whatever else is going on in your life, you could probably come into this car and just have a cute little nappy nap.
I thought about that, honestly. Like, even just sitting here stationary is nice.
Yeah.
And it made me think also about if you are charging at a charging station and you sat in the car for 20, 30 minutes, what a nice place to be.
Yeah, lovely.
Isn't it lovely, Andrew? So
Okay.
the Tesla all-wheel drive performance and the Zeekr 7X all-wheel drive performance are roughly the same price.
What is that, up around the 100?
Yeah, this starts at 95 grand.
95,
The
okay.
Tesla can go bump above that, but but this is where Zeekr shines, because the Tesla, I mean, to be fair, it's their sort of design language is very Spartan, very minimalist. They still have some high quality materials. They've come a long way. They're actually very nice interiors. But this is, I believe, a whole step up.
Yeah.
And not just in terms of the materials and the look and the feel, but also in the features. So massaging seats, small things like we actually have a blind for the sunroof, unlike Tesla's.
Yeah.
We have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which Tesla doesn't have.
Does it not?
No, it's a big sticking point for lots of people.
Yeah.
We have a few physical buttons here, although sadly not for air conditioning. I wish that they would have added some physical buttons for that.
Oh, okay.
But
all
still,
controlled by the screen, is
all
it?
on the screen. Yep. But you can set favorite buttons. And so this one at the moment brings up the Kid Cam, which is another fantastic feature. Unfortunately, it only works for, looking for front-facing children. Most children are front-facing. If your child's head happens to be
I
the
was
way
born
around,
rear-facing.
you know what I mean. Babies and toddlers who are rear-facing, the camera doesn't do much for them.
Another question about the controls on the windows up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Don't know. It's the opposite day.
It is opposite day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Up
little
means
bit.
down, down means up. One more thing I will say is that when the windows are up, if you press up again, it will do the electric sunblinds at the rear for the kids.
Oh, that's kind of
So,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Another thing to ask about, sound system, because I haven't heard
Yeah.
it, man. I haven't
21,
Is it good?
21 speaker sound system. I can barely count to 21. It sounds really good. I just wish it had a bit more bass. I even, adjusted the EQ settings and put it on extra bass mode, and I still would have liked a bit more bass. But that's just me. On the whole, a very high quality sound system.
How is it, because you are a father, for the likes of Blippy or
Blippy absolutely hoons on this sound system, man.
Okay,
yeah,
yes.
it sounds like he's in the car with us. Which, to be fair, I wouldn't really want him as a passenger, but yeah.
What does this do?
Yeah. Shut up, Blippy. My normal test for rear seat space is I put the toddler's rear-facing car seat back there.
Nice.
And then I see how far forward do I have to push the passenger seat for that to fit properly.
Yeah, and then at 6 foot, I guess that you don't want to be hunched up
No.
all the way, right? So
I
how
didn't
is
have
this
to move
performed?
this at all.
Wow.
It just slotted right in.
Nice.
I was like, no way. So then I put the driver's seat in my driving position, and then I got into the back behind me, and I had so much leg room.
Nice.
So much. And I was like, whoa, this is actually massive in here. Whoa!
Yeah.
But then I think the only caveat to that is that eats up some of the boot space. And so my other little test that I do for boot space is, can I fit the pram?
You've got a lot of little
I've got a
litmus
number
tests,
of
don't
very
you?
specific tests. Can the pram fit lengthways, or do I have to rotate it?
Okay.
And my pram wouldn't fit lengthways. But I do wonder, can we bring that whole row forward?
You can recline the seats, but you can't bring the whole road forward.
That would be a very interesting feature. The new 7X, adjust the road in front.
Your car doesn't need to do anything.
The car
anymore.
stays still, but the road moves. That's the new feature.
I do like it. It's kind of like we're inside a cloud.
It does feel like we're inside a cloud, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's because of
Cozy cloud.
the color of the interior. Maybe I'll touch on that really quickly. So this white and slightly browny grey.
Yeah, cream and whatever. Cream.
Yeah. It's nice. It's really nice. I think that adds to that whole inviting and cozy feeling that we were talking about. Yeah. So yeah, again, on the inside, I'm not seeing any catch in here. Like nothing in here has got alarm bells ringing. It's all good things.
Very inoffensive.
All right, let's see what it can do. Oh, that's more than 100.
372.
3.72,
That's
man.
unreal, man.
So I believe the claim time is 3.8.
Wow.
There's two of us in the car, man.
That is proper quick. Yeah,
That's
especially
fast, like
performers.
hurts your stomach fast, eh?
Yeah, a little bit.
And what's almost more impressive than the launch is the sort of 80 to 100k stint. Like,
Oh,
that
far out,
is
man.
just
Warn
insane,
me.
isn't it?
What a guy. I mean, like, it was actually quite a pleasant experience because of the soft material.
It's incredibly fast.
Yeah.
As you'd expect, I suppose, 470 kilowatts, thereabouts.
Yeah,
It's a
600
ton of power.
horses. Yeah.
Obviously, in a high power EV like this, you know, the party trick is the straight line acceleration. You plant it and off you go, and that's always fun.
Yes.
But you know, on a more day-to-day basis, you kind of care about what's that gradient of the throttle tuning, so how does it feel just to ease around town, take off from a traffic light, that kind of thing. And in that sense, again, this is practically flawless. I mean, it's never jerky, it's never twitchy. It's certainly tuned, I believe, more to that sort of luxury car feel rather than, say, a sports car, which is what you'd expect, I guess. That's what they're going for.
But it's got a foot in both cams. It can really dash off the line. It'll smoke 90% of any other car on
not just in a straight line, man. Like the handling as well. I guess this is also sort of by nature of being an EV with the weight being down low and distributed quite evenly. Even around corners, it feels like it's much lighter than it is.
Yeah.
You don't feel a ton of the road through the steering wheel, even when you put it in sport mode. It does artificially add resistance and weight to the steering.
Oh, really?
But again, and that's standard, but again, you wouldn't expect that from what is marketed as essentially a sort of premium / luxury EV.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, no marks against it for that.
It is kind of interesting that the entire design ethos of cars and a lot of sort of adaptive technology now is just like as little effort as possible for the most control and power and everything.
The only thing I would say, and this is really nitpicking, is that for a car with air suspension, it could be a little softer. Like going over potholes, for example, you do feel a shudder through the car.
You're really like entering your dad phase, eh? You just want comfort. It's like, oh, hey, a stone touched the tire. I don't want this.
It is a bit like that. I guess dad life has done that to me, but it's also we've experienced other cars. Like if you remember the Volkswagen Touareg we tested with air suspension, that thing was just like literally floating over the road.
Yeah.
This isn't quite that.
No.
So what I would be interested to see is how the lower trim models, the long range rear wheel drive, for example, that doesn't have air suspension, how that feels.
So 800 volt architecture, so you can charge at a 22 kilowatts at your home charge. So
yes, you get faster charging at home. Up to 22 kilowatts at home, where most EVs are around 11, but you have to have the wall box to achieve those speeds.
Oh, okay.
And
that's
then
an extra investment.
Obviously faster charging at the charge station too in DC.
Yeah.
So that's pretty great. Also has vehicle to load, so you can power appliances off of this.
It doesn't have a fridge in the back, eh?
Well, actually, funny you say that. This in China, this comes with a fridge here in the center console.
Really?
Yeah. And in New Zealand, we don't get it, but I believe you can buy the part from China and fit it over here.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. I don't know what impact that would have on the battery usage or whatever, but kind of cool. once again, Andy, the outside, the inside, the driving experience,
Yeah.
I'm struggling to fault it, and I can't find that catch.
There's not really one, is there?
Well, so I thought of maybe two,
Okay.
but I think they're both defensible.
Okay.
So one is, you could argue, hey, it's a new brand, so you sort of you're taking some risk by buying it, right? You might think about, how do I get it serviced? What if it breaks down? You know, where do I take it? But the fact that it's part of the same dealer network that handle the Volvo and the Lotus and Polestar probably bodes well for them, right? It's kind of got an established background or base, at least here in New Zealand,
Definitely
which adds some credibility to it.
Yeah.
Sort of secondary to that, and it's actually less about Zeekr, but more about EVs in general, is that they do typically appear to be more reliable, at least from a mechanical standpoint. So you don't get many catastrophic, battery or electric motor failures. If you are going to have problems, they're going to be more with the electrical components, electrical systems, software, that kind of thing. So, in terms of fear about buying a new brand, if it's an EV, maybe some of that is mitigated there.
Okay.
That's not specific to Zeekr, more of an EV thing.
Yeah.
But then you might say the catch is, well, the price. I mean, the all-wheel drive version
95.
commands about 95 grand. That's getting up there.
Yeah.
There are European brands that are in that price bracket, but typically this is outgunning them and outperforming them, either in straight performance and or features, or both.
Well, and the luxury component, which I guess is still feature. But the only catch that I would call out is the doors actually. Sometimes having the soft touch door that opens automatically is really nice. It's like, oh, it's like someone's opening the door for me.
Yeah, it's like you're being chauffeured.
But if you're in a hurry to go anywhere, it's like, oh, come on, this is ridiculous. And you just actually end up pulling the door shut, which you can do, but